So, game was super painful to watch, but there is an aspect of it, and like you like being in those situations as a fan. You like that playoff scenario. We never get it. We so rarely get it as Dolphin fans. So even though that game sucked. It was a brutal game. But every play mattered. Every play counted. It was a close game. Felt like a playoff game. I don't know what this weekend's going to look like. I kind of do know what it's going to look like if it's Skylar Thompson. We're going to get smoked. Like I said, if it's Bridgewater, outside chance. I'm hoping Tua plays. If Tua plays, got a shot. But it's very tough to believe that Tua is going to be cleared. Very tough to believe they have a shot at Buffalo without him. And I want to emphasize, I'm not going to feel bad, and you as a Dolphin fan do not have to feel bad wanting Tua to play. You know, you're a Dolphin fan, and he's a grown professional football player. Nobody's forcing him to do anything. And if doctors give him the clearance, I want him to play. I hope he plays. So I'm not going to apologize for that. I'm not going to apologize for being a Dolphin fan. You don't have to apologize for that. You don't have to apologize for being a Dolphin fan. But it's very tough to believe that they have a chance this weekend in Buffalo without him. And look, it's not like this Dolphin team is handled, like you got a ton of adversity. You're going to Buffalo, third-string quarterback. All right, can you power through? It's not like this team has handled adversity very well this year. They've handled adversity pretty poorly this year. Yesterday was the first game in 5 that they've won without Tua this year. You know, in the midst of that 5-game losing streak, the coach get a lot of criticism for, adjustments or what have you. This team has not handled adversity well. It's not like they've imploded, but they haven't been able to overcome. And the only reason they were able to overcome yesterday, they were playing a Jets team that is starting Joe Flacco, and going into the game, hadn't scored a touchdown in 22, 23 some odd drives. I think maybe earlier I said quarters, which would have been a touchdown. Hadn't scored a touchdown in like 5 or 6 games. That's crazy. It's 22 or 23 some odd drives, I think it was, going into the game. So that's like 2 games or, almost 2 games worth. I think I said that wrong earlier. But anyway, it just feels like the team's snake bitten. So you're glad that you got a chance this weekend to watch some Dolphin playoff football. But overall, the takeaways from the game, Skylar Thompson stunk, but didn't make mistakes, and it felt good for him that he ends up getting the win. Jason Sanders, I like being wrong about that. He came through in a very big way. And Mike McDaniel, who I did not think had a great game, and that challenge, by the way, what the F was that? What kind of challenge was that? It may have been the worst. I don't want to use hyperbole, but it may have been the worst challenge I've ever seen. He had a very uneven game. He did win a huge challenge in the fourth quarter, one that helped set up what would end up being the game-winning drive for the Dolphins, where they ended up having a punt. And it was his first challenge win of the year. Oh, my God. He's bad at those challenges, man. He is bad at those. McDaniel's a huge story coming out of the game as well. They end up surviving. They end up making the postseason. But for me, going into this year, Mike McDaniel's number one job was not make the playoffs. Making the playoffs is a bonus for Mike McDaniel and the Dolphins this year. Mike McDaniel's number one job was to find out about Tua. And we did. Now, it's still not a great scenario, and there's nothing Mike McDaniel could do about the injury situation, about Tua being able to stay on the field, but we found out about Tua. He's a big-time quarterback. And Mike McDaniel, that was his job in his rookie year. It was not make the playoffs. Making the playoffs is a bonus. So for me, doesn't come without criticism, doesn't come without mistakes, but Mike McDaniel absolutely gets passing grades in his rookie season, no matter what happens this weekend. No matter what. All right. You know what time it is. So much took place this weekend in the National Football League. Let's get to our Week 18 NFL rundown, brought to us by Brunt Insurance. That's right. I've had my homeowner's insurance through Brunt Insurance for about 10 years now. I got the peace of mind knowing that God forbid something happens with my home, I don't have to come out of pocket with all that money. No. I'm covered. And that's because I use Brunt Insurance. BruntInsurance.com, 954-589-2204. And we're talking all of Florida, wherever you're listening right now, from Pensacola to the Keys and beyond. Brunt Insurance and Financial Services delivers comprehensive insurance and financial solutions tailored to your needs. They specialize in home, auto, life insurance if you need as well. Look, the market's very confusing out there. You can't just go all willy-nilly and try and pick something and say, hey, I'll cover my home, give me some insurance, here's my money. No, you can't do that. Let Greg Brunt and his team at Brunt Insurance sort all of it out for you. Fully licensed staff. They know, like I said, they're covering all of Florida. So wherever you're living right now, they know the area. Let them give you that peace of mind. God forbid something happens. They're going to take care of you because you've got the right insurance coverage. If you're looking for affordable care that offers the best coverage maybe for your car, your motorcycle, your boat, you found the right place as well. All right, they got the expertise and the experience to find the right coverage for you. So again, let Greg Brunt and his team at Brunt Insurance, let them take care of you so you don't have to worry about this kind of stuff. At social media, at Brunt Insurance, bruntinsurance.com, and again, 954-589-2204. I have been a happy customer. I got no issues. Been a customer for about 10 years now. I'm not taking my insurance anywhere else. I use Brunt Insurance. So there you go. You support the show. That means you also support Brunt Insurance. Let's get to it here. We'll start out with Saturday night's action, all right? You had 2 games on Saturday. I watched the games out there in Utah. That's right. Come on now. I love the early times for the games there out in the mountain time zone. Chiefs, they took it to the Raiders all afternoon. Chiefs beat the Raiders 31-13. They end up locking up the number 1 seed there in the AFC. Patrick Mahomes, ho-hum, 18 for 26, 202 yards. Yeah, Jared Stidham, 22 for 36, 219 yards, a touchdown and interception. The Raiders finished 6-11. The Chiefs 14-3. Saturday night, everyone gives shit to the Jaguar fans, deservedly so. That stadium was rocking on Saturday night. This was a fun game, a defensive type game. The Jaguars, they're down 16-13 in the, late-ish in the fourth quarter. How about one of the biggest plays for the Jaguars, maybe in franchise history?
It's a blitz, an all-out blitz. They hit him as he lets it go. The ball comes out. The ball comes out and it's picked up. The Jags are running it back. The Jags are running it back. The Jags are going to run it into the end zone. Josh Allen scores a touchdown. Josh Allen has run it back for a touchdown for Jacksonville.
That was cool as hell. What a play. The Jags end up hanging on. They win 20-16. They lock up the AFC South with that win. They finish 9-8. The Titans, their season is over. They finished 7-10. Trevor Lawrence, 20 for 32, 212 yards and a touchdown. He didn't have a big-time game, but he looks like a big-time quarterback. Christian Kirk, great signing by Jacksonville. 6 catches, 99 yards and a touchdown. And again, that stadium, that was a fun atmosphere. Good for those folks in Duval. And you had Derrick Henry, 30 carries for 109 yards. The Jags, they win the AFC South, and of course with 9 wins, they are the number 4 seed. The Falcons beat the Bucs 30-17. Tom Brady didn't play the whole game. He was 13-17 for 84 yards and a touchdown. Rookie wide receiver for Atlanta, Drake London, 6 catches for 120. The Falcons finished 7-10. The Bucs win that putrid NFC South at 8-9. The Buffalo Bills. I mean, how about this game? The Dolphin fan, we're keeping an eye on this, right? I had the Bills-Patriots on my iPad while we're in the townhome yesterday in Utah, and I'm watching Dolphins and Jets, obviously, on the big TV there. Opening kickoff for the game, give it a listen.
5 degrees here this afternoon as Folk puts his foot into the ball. It's going to be short. Fielded at the 4 by Hines. Coming straight up the middle to the 20. Cuts it back at the 25. He's got an alley down the right sideline to the 40. 50. Down to the 40. 35. 30. 20. 15. 10. 5. Touchdown. Nyheim Hines. 96 yards. Run as fast as you can. You're not catching Hines. He's your end zone man. Buffalo on the board with the first play from scrimmage.
Are you kidding me, Chris? They showed Josh Allen, his arms on his head on the sideline. Sean McDermott, it appears, has tears rolling down his face. What a tribute to DeMar. This special teams unit, this kickoff return unit set the tone for what today is going to be, and that's a celebration of number 3, DeMar Hamlin. And they started off just like that, running the opening kickoff, 96 yards.
What a scene there in
house.
Buffalo. It was the first of two kickoff returns for touchdowns there for Nyheim Hines. The Bills, this game was close for the most part. The Bills managed to pull away late. They win 35-23. Buffalo finishes 13-3. They are the number 2 seed, and they force a scenario where you're going to have a neutral site game if it ends up being an AFC Championship game, Chiefs and Bills, because they were just one game apart, and the Bills, they couldn't get that one game. So the Bills had to have that game. The Dolphins had to have that game. They needed a Patriots loss. They dropped to 8-9 for the season. Mac Jones, he sucks balls. He was 26 of 40 for 243 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. Josh Allen, 19 for 31, 254, 3 touchdowns and interception. Stefon Diggs, 7 catches for 104 yards and a touchdown. Post-game, here's Josh Allen talking a little bit about that divine intervention.
So it's probably number 1. It was just spiritual, and I was going around and I was going around my team saying, God's real. Like, you can't draw that one up, write that one up any better. And I was just told by Kevin Curran, it's been 3 years and 3 months. Since the last kickoff return, so it's pretty cool.
Love it. Love that stuff. Bills are a team of destiny, right? We're the bad guys. Dolphin fans are the bad guys. We're the only people in the world rooting against the Bills this weekend in the playoffs. So there you have it. We're going to lean into it. Don't worry about that. Vikings beat the Bears 29-13. They finished 13-4. They are the number 3 seed in the NFC. The Bears lock up the number 1 overall pick, and we'll get to that in a second here. Kirk Cousins, 17-20, 225 yards and a touchdown. He did not play the whole game. And again, the Bears, with a little help from their old coach, they lock up the number 1 overall pick in April's NFL draft. The Bengals, a 27-16 win at the Ravens. The Bengals, having already clinched the AFC South, AFC North, they needed this game because if they finished within a game of each other, since the Bengals played 1 fewer games because of the DeMar Hamlin situation, then even though the Bengals were AFC North champions, a coin flip would have determined where Cincinnati and Baltimore wildcard round would have been played. Cincinnati was not happy about this through the week. You can't blame them. Joe Burrow, 25 for 42, 215 yards and a touchdown. Jamar Chase, 8 catches, 86 yards and a touchdown. So the Bengals, they lock up the number 3 seed. These teams are going to play again in Cincinnati next weekend. That's kind of cool. The Texans, they beat the Colts 32-31. Jeff Saturday won his first game as interim coach and then proceeded to lose the rest of them. You can't have a guy coach your team who's never been a coach. It's stupidity. And the Texans getting a field goal late, a touchdown late to make it 31-30. Lovie Smith, who knows he's going to get fired, and he was fired later that night. He says, F it. I'm taking that number 1 pick with me. They go for 2. They get it. And they get it. Texans win 32-31. They finished 3-13-1. The Colts 4-12-1. And considering they didn't even wait for Black Monday today to fire him, they did it yesterday, they must have been so pissed about him going for 2. They gave up the number 1 pick. Now, whoever they want at number 2, you would assume it's going to be a quarterback. Dude may still be there. You know, at number 1, Chicago, Justin Fields, maybe they give him another shot. I don't know. Maybe they trade it to a team that wants a quarterback. I don't know. I can't predict the future. But the Texans must have been so pissed firing Lovie Smith later that night instead of even waiting for Black Monday. Wow. Moving on here. The Panthers, they beat the Saints 10-7. Both teams finished 7-10. Who the hell cares? The Steelers, you know, Mike Tomlin every year, I feel like people try and give reasons why Mike Tomlin is somehow not a good coach. Mike Tomlin is a Hall of Fame coach. He is incredible. And again, I think they won their last 5 games. They finished 9-8. They gave themselves a chance to make the playoffs with yesterday's 28-14 win over the Browns, who finished 7-10. And Mike Tomlin, 16 years now, never a losing season. Still, never a losing season. He's one of the all-time great coaches. Kenny Pickett, 13 for 29, 195 yards and a touchdown. Najee Harris, 23 carries for 84 yards and a touchdown. Deshaun Watson, 19 of 29, 230 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. But the Steelers' season is over because the Dolphins won. The Broncos, a 31-28 win over the Chargers, who weren't playing for anything. The Broncos finished maybe the most disappointing team in the NFL at 5-12. The Chargers, though, they are locked in at the number 5 seed. They won 10 games this year. Russell Wilson was 13 of 24 for 283 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. Jerry Jeudy had 5 catches for 154. Justin Herbert, 25 of 37, 273 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I know Brandon Staley, the coach, is getting criticism because Mike Williams was carted off. I don't subscribe to that kind of stuff because you can get hurt at any game, any play, any practice. It's really unfortunate he got hurt, but you can't prevent injuries in this game. You just can't. The Eagles, they lock up the number 1 seed. It wasn't pretty, 22-16. In a game that they were favored by 16.5 over the Giants, they hang on. They finished the number 1 seed, 14-3. The Giants, 9-7-1. They did not play most of their guys. Daniel Jones did not play, most importantly. The Giants, they're locked into the number 6 seed. The Eagles clinched number 1. Jalen Hurts, it was a struggle. 20 for 35, 229 yards, and an interception. The 49ers, they finished the year 10 consecutive wins, 13-4. They beat the Cardinals so bad that they fired Cliff Kingsbury today. The 49ers beat the Cardinals 38-13. The Cardinals 4-13. Brock Purdy hasn't lost as a starter. 15 for 20, 178 yards, and 3 touchdowns. The 49ers are the number 2 seed in the NFC, and they are... I think the 49ers are going to win the NFC. The Seahawks, they remain alive. They needed to wait for Sunday Night Football with a 19-16 overtime win over the Rams, 9-8. They wind up clinching the number 7 seed, while the Rams, most losses ever following a Super Bowl championship. They finished 5-12. Geno Smith, 19 for 31, 213 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions. Kenneth Walker, 29 carries for 114 yards. They were going to have to wait around the television, though, for Sunday Night Football to find out if they made the postseason. The Commanders, a 26-6 win over the Cowboys in a game that the Cowboys could have gotten the number 1 seed if everything worked out right for them. Get smoked by the Commanders, who had nothing to play for. Commanders finished 8-1. I think Rivera is going to be out. Cowboys finished 12-5. They are the number 5 seed, although they do have an advantageous matchup. They're going to Tampa and Tom Brady in the first round. And finally, Sunday Night Football. The Seahawks, they needed the Lions to win. So how about this? The Seahawks win, eliminating the Lions from the playoffs. But if the Lions beat the Packers, the Seahawks get in. That's a weird situation. So the Seahawks screwed the Lions, and now they need the Lions' help. Well, the Lions gave them the help. How about that? A 20-16 win over the Packers. The Lions finished 9-8. The Packers, winning they're in, they lost. Another big home loss for Aaron Rodgers at 8-9. That's a big story because Rodgers looking like it may be his final game. Sounding like he may not be playing anymore. Jamal Williams had 16 carries for 72 yards and 2 touchdowns. And give Jamal Williams, who everyone now is a fan of, a listen post-game.
I'm grateful to be able to play this game for my great-grandfather, and I'm glad that he's looking down on me, and I know I'm making him proud.
You said this ball's for him?
Yeah, this is for him. Another thing, stop playing us, man. We the Detroit Lions. We the Detroit Lions. Stop playing with us. I don't even watch TV, but I heard everybody already pick the Packers over us. Stop playing with us. That's all I got to say, man. Don't let these tears fool you. There's all dog around this mug.
How awesome is that? Everyone's a fan. That was cool as hell. What a shift in emotions. That dude's got good control of his emotions. So the Lions, they do the Packers dirty, and the Seahawks, they make the playoffs. Aaron Rodgers in what could be his final game at Lambeau, 17-27, 205 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. He was not good. And that right there is your Week 18 NFL Rundown. Again, presented by Brunt Insurance. Let them make sure your home is covered. Car, motorcycle, boat as well. BruntInsurance.com, 954-589-2204. Wow, what a rundown. What a rundown. What a week 18. That was fun stuff. So here's what we got this weekend, all right? AFC, Miami at Buffalo. Baltimore at Cincinnati. They're going to play again. That's always funny, right? Los Angeles Chargers at Jacksonville. I think that's going to be a fun game. Chargers are definitely a live road team this weekend. And then Kansas City, they get the bye. In the NFC, Seattle at San Francisco. That's a big rivalry right there. You have to love San Francisco in that game. New York Giants at Minnesota. I think the Giants are a live road team in wild card weekend at Minnesota. You can't figure out this Minnesota. Like, I feel like the Vikings are the worst 12-win team we've ever seen. What are the Vikings finished 12-5? I think they were 12-5, right? Vikings are a weird team. If you could figure them out, let me know. 13-4. Wow. That's one of the weirdest 13-win teams ever. I think the Giants are a live road dog this weekend. Dallas at Tampa. This is a very favorable matchup for the Cowboys, but is it not the most Tom Brady thing ever that he finishes under 500 for the first time in his career, still wins the division championship, still hosts a playoff game? And then you got Philadelphia, who is going to await the second round as they get the bye. And again, we got super wild card weekend. Oh, you know what? Let me give you the schedule here. I used to think the divisional round for me used to be the best weekend of the best NFL weekend. It's now super wild card weekend. Since they added the 2 games, they added the playoff team. Super wild card weekend is the best. So we have a tremendous weekend of football coming up. Saturday at 4:30 is first at Seattle at San Francisco. And then Saturday night, it's the LA Chargers at Jacksonville. Okay, all right. Sunday, first up, which definitely least favorable time slot, Miami, Buffalo, and that's because they're telling you, yeah, we think Buffalo's going to smoke them. Buffalo's a 10.5-point favorite right now, okay? If Bridgewater plays, that line would move slightly. If Tua plays, that line would move significantly. So we'll see. Then you got New York Giants, Minnesota at 4:30 on Sunday. Sunday Night Football, Baltimore at Cincinnati. And Monday Night Football, Dallas, Tampa Bay. That's obviously huge. It's Tom Brady. It's America's team. That's going to get a monster number. And there you have it. That is the schedule coming up. Let's get into the heat here. So I watched most of the Heat games. I only missed one game when I was away. I missed the game against the Clippers. I was keeping track of it, though, on my phone. But I saw the Laker game because it was an ESPN game, which 8 p.m. out there Mountain Time. I saw the Suns game, which was an 8 p.m. game out there Mountain Time. And I saw the game yesterday because I did not know that I was able to stream from my phone, the Bally Sports app, onto the TV in the townhouse where we were at. So I watched the whole Heat game yesterday against the Nets. Great game. I think overall, like that's what, I was probably the most aggravated I've been all year that they lost that game yesterday, because, not that I was mad at them. I've been aggravated earlier this year because I'm mad at them. I was not mad at the Heat. I was just aggravated we didn't win that game because it felt like we played a great game. And I may be wrong about the Nets. Now, I'm not wrong about the Nets. I can admit when I'm wrong. I'm not wrong about the Nets in regards to they're not going to win the championship. They're not going to win anything because they're not. But they're not a bad defensive team. They're much better defensively than I had thought. Overall, they're much better than I thought. Now, Kevin Durant's going to miss the next month. You can't complain about what happened, about the way he got hurt, because everybody knows Jimmy Butler, not dirty, definitely not intentional, really fluke play, is what it is. But I do think that team will struggle now with Kyrie Irving as the main guy. And Kyrie Irving, look, you got to give credit where credit's due. Like, I'm watching on the broadcast yesterday, and Crotty made a good... Crotty was first a little critical about the shot Kyrie took when the Heat were up by 1 late in that game. But then he also made a very good point, excuse me, which was Kyrie Irving took a long 3 with seconds remaining in transition, which ended up missing. But Crotty made a good point, which was he's going to get double teamed. That's like, he wants to shoot the ball there. That's likely to be the best look he gets. So I thought and it's a makeable shot. I thought that was a great point by Crotty, and I also thought it was the right shot by Kyrie Irving, because not only was that the only good look he was going to get in that situation, and it's a very makeable shot for him, even though it's from way deep from 3, but it gives you time. Like, game wasn't tied. If the game's tied, you don't like that shot if you're the Nets. But down 1, you do, because it gives you a chance for an offensive rebound, which they got. and they put it back in for the win. So it was the right play from Kyrie that also worked out. And then on the other end, Jimmy Butler gets absolutely mugged, and the Heat get hosed. I mean, just mugged. I mean, I know it's Royce O'Neal, who, is known as the greatest defender, and there's no reason a guy like Jimmy Butler, who gets the free throw line 1,000 times, to get any kind of respect. I mean, I understand that. But Jimmy Butler got mugged on that final play. Not only was Royce O'Neal not straight up and down because he jumped into him, but he comes down on Jimmy with both hands. Gets mugged on that final play. and Jimmy deserved so much better on that final possession because he didn't look he wasn't going for the bailout where catch the ball, shoot the jumper, drove to the basket. Almost scored, but definitely got fouled and got screwed by the officials. But we don't have to worry because when the NBA's 2-minute report comes out today, it's going to say that they got it wrong, that Jimmy Butler was fouled, and then everyone's going to feel better, right? Then everything's going to be okay. I was so freaking pissed at the end of that game yesterday. The Heat played so well. But there are some takeaways from the road trip. Great road trip, 3-2. Remember, I told you before the trip, you want to be 2-2. You want to split the first 2 games? They did. You want to split the next 2 games? They did. Now, granted, if you win the game at the Clippers, you want to then win the game at the Lakers instead of putting up that dud of a performance, which they did. But again, it's Western Conference teams, so it doesn't affect your conference record. The point is going into that final game at Phoenix with a chance for an above 500 trip at 2-2, and they took advantage of it. Great road trip for the Heat. The Laker game was an abomination, but overall, that was a great road trip for the Heat. And I think it carried over in the game against Brooklyn because they played really well yesterday. But a couple of things. Number one, Bam has officially taken the next step. He's a big offensive player now. Now he's hurt. Didn't play the last, 5 minutes of the game yesterday? I like Orlando Robinson. I like that he's playing, can't do Deadman anymore. Can't do it. Gotta go Robinson. Bam took himself out, essentially. His hand's bothering him. Now we know, remember he had the hand injury. What was it? It was last season, yeah. Where he missed 20 games. I hope that's not the case again. That does not seem like a good situation. I know x-rays came back negative. But Bam has officially taken the next step. That's a difference maker. That was one of the things that the Heat needed to rely on going into this year if they were going to be better. He needed to get better. He needed to take that next step. He has. The next thing that we found out on that road trip, another difference maker that the Heat have been looking for this year, Victor Oladipo. He looks like he's back. And that's exciting. On both ends of the floor. Offensively, finishing at the basket, that mid-range jumper, smooth, and defensively, big-time defensive player now. I am very pleased with Victor Oladipo. And how about this? The Heat at one point couldn't win on the road. They were 3-9 on the road. Remember? They've won 7 of the last 9 on the road now. Road Warriors. The Heat are now 10-12 on the road this year. That's a very good road record. They're a good road team now. Now, there's no defending the loss at the Lakers. But the Heat, you need to win some games at home. They're a good road team. Win some games at home. So we're at the halfway point of the season. The Heat are 21-20. Got screwed yesterday. That's for sure. Got screwed yesterday, man. But they are next up tomorrow against the Thunder. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, that's a fun one. The Panthers, look, what do you want me to say? Next up tomorrow night, they're at the Avalanche, who the defending Cup champions struggling a little bit. But they laid a major egg yesterday, 5-1 at Dallas. Still can't win 3 straight. They won back-to-back for, I think, the 4th time this year. Have not won 3 in a row yet this season. Team stinks. There's nothing else I can tell you. I'm sorry. I don't know what else to say. It's very upsetting. It's very disappointing. You know what will make me feel a little bit better, though? I'm a little bit tired, a little bit jet-lagged. We got in this morning, red-eye flight. You know what will make me feel good? Sit back and relax and watch the national championship game? With a Johnny in my hand. That's right. I love getting the messages from you guys who are trying Johnny Cuba, official beer of ZASLOW Show 2.0. You're trying it for the first time and you're sending me the pictures and the videos on Instagram where I'm an influencer, and then I put it out there on my stories and you become famous also. I love it. Keep sending me the videos. Johnny Cuba, European roots with a Caribbean soul. Start your afternoon with a refreshing German lager in a can. Look, you could purchase a 6-pack of Johnny Cuba. They got specials on 6-packs right now at Fresco y Mas at Winn-Dixie, but also Sedano's, Presidente. Go pick up yourself a 6-pack of Johnny Cuba. It's going to be the only beer you drink from here on out. I'm telling you, I love getting the videos from you guys who are trying Johnny Cuba for the first time. It's delicious. That's right. Muy delicioso. Johnny Cuba, don't forget about their mantra, stay tranquilo. I'm thinking of Johnny Cuba tonight while watching the national championship. That's probably the way to go here in the ZASLOW Mansion tonight. Let's get to big deal or not a big deal. Come on. You know how we do it. We wrap up every show. This is the beginning of the week for us after I didn't do shows a couple days last week. So I appreciate everybody getting back on board today. Big deal or not a big deal. While I was away, Vince McMahon is back with WWE. That's right. He's back on the board. Apparently, he's not getting involved in day-to-day. He's not getting involved in creative, thank God. I don't know if you believe that or not, but we can only hope. Apparently, because he still owned 51% of the shares, he's back on board to try and approve either a sale of WWE or the next media rights deal. And he wasn't going to approve anything if he wasn't allowed back on the board. He has a majority of shares. So he's strong-armed his way back in, and it looks like WWE is either going to be sold or they're going to sign some other type of major media deal. So Vince McMahon back in WWE, that's a big deal right there. It's a big deal because, like I said, you're hoping he doesn't get back on the creative side because WWE has been on fire. Now, make sure, if you're listening right now to ZASLOW Show 2.0, we didn't do an episode of It's Still Real to Me. Me and my pal Joey Levine, that's our pro wrestling show. We didn't do it this weekend. Tonight, all right, a special Monday episode of It's Still Real to Me is going to drop, and we're going to catch up on all the big stories, including Vince McMahon back in WWE. So make sure that you check out this week's episode to start your week of It's Still Real to Me. All right, big deal or not a big deal? Aaron Rodgers, after the game, Jamal Williams had a great game for the Detroit Lions. He asks Aaron Rodgers if he could have his jersey, and Rodgers says, I got to keep this one. What does that mean? Is Rodgers pandering to try and get, well, he always wants to be talked about. What's he going to do? Is he going to stay? Is he going to go? Or is he actually going to retire? I'm going to go big deal because Aaron Rodgers, that sounds like a guy who's not going to, at the very least, is not going to play for the Packers anymore. So I'm going to go big deal. Big deal or not a big deal? It's Black Monday. Cliff Kingsbury fired after 4-13 this year with the Cardinals. He and the quarterback, Kyler Murray, they hate each other. That's not a big deal because we all saw it coming. Big deal or not a big deal? How about this Quay Walker, the linebacker for the Packers, who gets ejected yesterday for shoving the trainer from the Detroit Lions? Second time he's been ejected this year, and also was some type of incident earlier in the year against Buffalo involving their staff as well. This is a piece of shit. Emmanuel Acho, he made a great point. You're going to get thrown out of a game for putting your hands on a trainer this week of all weeks? After the trainer for Buffalo gave CPR to Damar Hamlin, saved his life, you're putting your hands on a trainer this week of all weeks? You gotta be a real piece of shit. That's a major character issue with this guy. This is a big deal. You can't win with players like that. I would get rid of him if I'm the Packers. I really would. I would get rid of him. You can't win with guys like that. That's a major character issue. And finally, big deal or not a big deal? Georgia TCU National Championship is tonight. It says the game starts at 7:30. Is that true? 7:30, that's a good time. I mean, the game's going to be 3.5 hours easy, but 7:30, could live with 7:30. If the game is, in fact, starting at 7:30, that's a big deal. I'll be very into that. I will stay up for the whole game. Otherwise, you feel like 8:30, game's going to end at 2 a.m., can't do it. If it's a 7:30 start, that's a big deal. I'm into that. So Georgia and TCU tonight, that's your national championship. And that right there is another edition of Big Deal or Not a Big Deal. Wow, that was awesome. Hey, by the way, this is a good opportunity for me to tell you, if you're looking for a place to watch the national championship tonight, the only place to go is Briny Irish Pub, Pompano Beach. That's right. Now, besides that, you got the national championship tonight, Briny Irish Pub has live music 7 days a week. Real easy to find the Briny, okay? Atlantic Boulevard, all the way east to the Atlantic Ocean. But don't park in the Atlantic Ocean. Park right behind the Briny. They got a lot right there. Free parking. They will validate your license tag, okay? So park behind the Briny. Like I said, Atlantic Boulevard, all the way east, and the Briny is right there. You can't miss it. The world's greatest upscale dive bar, Briny Irish Pub, Pompano Beach. That's your spot tonight for the NCAA Championship. TCU and Georgia. We know happy hour as Briny Hour. Every weeknight, 4 to 7 p.m. And tonight you got special Monday night prime rib. Don't forget about tomorrow, Tuesday night. Not just Taco Tuesdays, we got Mahi taco specials. Wednesday night, fish and chip specials. And of course, where else are you going to watch the NFL playoff games? I'm going to be there for the Dolphins this weekend, right? Briny Irish Pub, Pompano Beach. Great job by everybody involved in the show today. Really good to be back. I hope you guys missed me. I missed you. Make sure you check out tonight's special edition of It's Still Real to Me. We'll catch up with all the big stories this past week in the world of pro wrestling. We'll talk to you on ZASLOW Show 2.0 tomorrow. You know what that means.